Dear students, how are you? Today we are going to learn some topics in solid state, the chapter solid state. So, you all know that solids are classified into crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Okay, you have learned already the differences between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. So, today just we'll learn about the probing the structure of solids by X-ray crystallography. Probing the structure of solids by X-ray crystallography. So, X-ray crystallography means study of the crystals of solids. Okay. See, this is studied by generally by X-ray diffraction method. What is X-ray diffraction method? See, it is a technique. X-ray diffraction is a technique used to determine any kind of crystals. X-ray diffraction is a technique used to determine any kind of crystals in solids. Okay. Then how can the structure of a solid be probed experimentally? How can the structure of a solid be probed experimentally? What is meant by probing? Probing means investigate. How can we investigate? See, because the atoms are very small in size. See, atoms have generally the size around 2 into 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. But the light which we can see with our eyes, that light is called visible light. Okay, visible light detected by our eyes has wavelength nearly 4.7 into 10 to the power of 7 minus 7 meters. Okay, so with this visible light, it is impossible to see atoms using even the finest optical microscope. If you use even powerful optical microscope also, it is very difficult to detect the structures of these solids. Okay, diffraction. To see atoms, we must use light with a wavelength approximately 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. So now we will see how generally the electromagnetic spectrum ranges. See here, this is the electromagnetic spectrum. There we can see so many radio waves, microwaves, IR spectrum, visible, UV, X-rays and gamma rays. See, these radio waves, they have the wavelength of 10 to the power of 3 meters. And microwaves have the wavelength nearly 10 to the power of minus 2 meters. And infrared rays, IR rays, they will have the lambda 10 to the power of minus 5. Okay. Then visible light. This is visible light. Visible light has nearly 0.5 into 10 to the power of minus 6. That is nearly 10 to the power of minus 7. Okay. UV rays has the wavelength, that is lambda value is 10 to the power of minus 8 meters. Okay. Now the X-rays have the range, that is 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. Okay. And of course, gamma rays, they will have greater than that, that is 10 to the power of minus 12. So these X-rays can be used in order to investigate the structure of atoms in solid state. So the X-rays were being diffracted by the atoms in the crystal. Okay, what is meant by the diffraction? Diffraction means the discipline arrangement of atoms in a crystal. So by that we can diffract. So X-rays were being diffracted by the atoms in the crystal. So in the beginning, the origin of X-ray crystallography is done by Max von Laue in 1912. The scientist name is Max von Laue. Used this X-ray crystallography. Okay, so he used it on sodium chloride. On passing X-rays through a crystal of sodium chloride and letting them strike a photographic plate. By using a photographic plate, he passed the X-rays on the crystal of sodium chloride. Then what he noticed? Last noticed that a pattern of spots was produced on the plate, indicating that the X-rays were being diffracted by the atoms in the crystal. So by that he came to know that these X-rays are very much useful to diffract the atoms in the crystal. Okay, with this we can learn the X-ray diffraction of electromagnetic radiation. See, the diffraction of electromagnetic radiation when a beam of X-ray is scattered by an object containing regular spaced lines. When the atoms are in this pattern, we can detect these structures by this diffraction method. So diffraction is due to interface between two waves passing through the same region of space at the same time. See, diffraction is due to the interface between two waves passing through the same region of space at the same time. Okay, now if the waves are in phase, that is, see, these are the waves. This is a one wave and this is another wave. These two waves, if you see in any wave, the highest amplitude of a wave is called crest. This is crest and this is crest and this is also crest. Okay, the least amplitude of a wave is called trough. This is crest, C-R-E-S-T, crest, and this is trough, T-R-O-U-G-H. And the distance between two consecutive crests is called lambda, wavelength. The distance between two consecutive crests is called wavelength, that is denoted by the letter lambda. And we can also define the lambda, the distance between two consecutive troughs is called also lambda. The distance between two consecutive troughs is also called as lambda. So, in any wave there are crests and troughs. So, okay. If the waves are in phase, crest to crest and trough to trough, the interference is called constructive interference. See, this is crest and these two. The crest, the distance between these two is lambda, and the distance between two consecutive troughs is called lambda. Okay. So in a wave, you can see these two, if they are crust to crust or trough to trough, the interference is called constructive interference. Constructive interference, that is, see here, crust crust, trough trough, okay, crust crust and trough trough. So when these two are in the same line of phase, this is called constructive interference. Constructive interference. What is meant by interference? See, the electromagnetic waves interact with each other. The electromagnetic waves interact with each other. This is called interference. So if they are in the same phase, that means crust crust, trough trough, they are in the same phase. These two, okay. This type of interference is called constructive interference. Against this, contrary to this, there is another kind of interference, that is destructive interference. This is called destructive interference. How can we understand destructive interference? See, they are in the opposite phase. This is the crust, which is in the opposite direction. Here the crust, and this is the trough, and this is the, so this is the trough and the crust, both are in the same phase, so they will cancel with each other. So this is called out of phase. These type of waves, they will create an interference which is out of the phase. Such interference is called destructive interference. So only constructive interference, they will have the combined wave, so which is increased in intensity, So if the waves are out of phase, however, the interference is called destructive interference. So only constructive interference gives rise to the intense spots observed by the photographic plate by the scientist Lloyd. So the destructive interference causes surroundings just a light areas. So these waves are not useful, or not gives us scope to study the structures of the crystalline solids by X-ray crystallography. Okay, so now how does this diffraction of X-ray by atoms in a crystal can be observed or studied? So you know, there are two scientists, namely William H. Bragg and his son William L. Bragg. These two scientists, they have worked hard in discovering the diffraction of these X-rays by atoms in a crystal. See, in 1913, these two scientists, William H. Bragg is the father, and the William L. Bragg is the son. So both these two, father and son, they have worked together, and they have derived an equation which is called Bragg's equation. So through Bragg's equation, they have discovered the diffraction of X-rays by atoms in crystals. Okay, now we have to know how this Bragg's equation is derived by these two scientists. See, imagine the incoming X-rays with wavelength lambda strike a crystal face. So these are the plane or the first line. First line. This is one line of, and this is the second line, and this is the third one. So when the ray of X-ray, when the ray of X-ray incident on the first line or first layer L1, it will making some angle and it will reflect or diffract in the other direction. See, this is the ray of incidence, and this is the ray of refraction. Okay, so when the ray passes and touches the atom on its first layer, it will reflect by making an angle theta. By making an angle theta. In the same way, when the second ray which touches the second layer of the atom, it will also reflect in its direction, another direction. So this is first ray, and this is the second ray. Okay, it will deflect in this direction. Okay, see, when we see these two, the distance between these two layers, see, the first ray has touched the first line of the atom and reflected, and the second ray has to travel more distance than the first one. What is the extra distance? See, for example, we can know this is the extra distance which is traveled by the second layer. And if you say this is A and this is B and this is C, okay, the extra distance AB, the extra distance AB is equal to the distance traveled between the two layers, okay. So, and this point is called Z. These layers, they will make an angle theta. So the distance between these two is called D. So the distance between two layers is called D. Okay. So here, according to the trigonometry, see, if you take this one, A, B, Z. If you take for example, this is A, this is B, this is Z. Okay. So the distance between Z and B is D, small d. So AB is equal to, this is the angle theta. AB is equal to D sine theta. AB is equal to D sine theta. Okay. AB which is equal to BC. So which is also equal to D sine theta. Therefore, BC is equal to D sine theta. So AB is equal to BC. AB is equal to BC. So the extra distance AB is equal to BC. Extra distance traveled by the second ray, AB is equal to BC. Must also be traveled again by reflected the rays as the ray exits from the first layer. So AB is equal to BC. So which is equal to 2D, which is equal to 2D sine theta, which is equal to 2D sine theta. AB is equal to BC, which is equal to 2d sine theta. Okay, see the extra distance, this is AB plus BC. AB plus BC is equal to 2d sine theta. AB is equal to d sine theta, BC is equal to also d sine theta. AB plus BC is equal to 2d sine theta. The extra distance AB plus BC is equal to the whole number of wavelength, that is n lambda. So n lambda which is equal to 2d sine theta. N lambda is equal to 2d sine theta, where n is equal to, it's a number, it is a integer. Generally n is equal to 1, 2, 3 like that. N is equal to 1, 2, 3 like that. So that is generally, this is called number of planes. First plane, second plane, third plane. Okay, and the theta, here the theta is diffraction angle. Theta is equal to diffraction angle. Okay, and d is equal to interplanar distance. D is equal to interplanar distance. D is equal to interplanar distance. See how this Bragg's equation is useful, you know. So these are the atoms. They are arranged in a disciplinar manner. Okay, so this is one atom and this is another atom. See, if you take these two atoms, the distance between these two is called r, which you can calculate by d by 2. This is called interplanar distance. D is, so which is measured by the two layers. The distance between two layers is measured by interplanar distance. Of course, lambda, you know, your lambda is nothing but wavelength. Lambda is nothing but wavelength. Okay, so that's how we can derive the equation, Bragg's equation. Bragg's equation is very much useful to calculate the interplanar distance between any two atoms. Interplanar distance, that is d. So if you want to calculate d, you have learned that n lambda is equal to 2d sine theta. Therefore, if you want to calculate the distance d from this equation, d is equal to n lambda by 2 sine theta. N lambda by 2 sine theta. You can calculate the internuclear distance also, and this is majorly called as Bragg's equation. So both William Bragg and William H. Bragg and William L. Bragg, both they have discovered, and in 1915, these two shared the Nobel Prize for this their discovery, that is for the derivation of the Bragg's equation. So that's how we can learn the Bragg's equation. Once again, I will repeat this. I will repeat the Bragg's equation because this is very important. See, this is the first ray of incidence which is touching the first plane or line 1, and it is reflected by making an angle theta. When the second ray of X-ray incidents or touches the second layer, it will also reflect in another direction by making an angle theta. Okay, same direction. So the difference between, or the distance between these two, the extra distance which is traveled by the second ray X-ray, is this one, AB. AB. So AB is equal to distance D by making theta angle. So AB is equal to D sine theta. D sine theta. So AB, which is equal to BC. So BC is also equal to D sine theta. Therefore AB is equal to BC. AB plus BC is equal to 2D sine theta. So this is equal to a whole number of wavelength n lambda, where n is an integer 1, 2, 3, 4. So therefore 2D sine theta is equal to n lambda. So this is Bragg's equation. If you want to know the interplanar distance D, if you want to calculate, n lambda by D is equal to n lambda by 2 sine theta. That's how we can derive the Bragg's equation. Thank you very much.